Now, there's somewhere in the Bible that talks about the fact that why do you tell the guests to fast when there is actually feast for the bridegroom? And I know that gets some of you wanting. So again, why is it that in a time of celebration, having fun, drink, merry, let's spend as if maybe there is no tomorrow? There is some subtle, wise counsel about spend wisely so you don't get broke the next month. What about all these wise counsel during these times? Why should we be talking about spending well during these times? Well, I'm talking about Christmas. What is it about it that people think that you have to spend wisely so you don't get broke the next month? Well, on PM Express Business Edition, we're looking at all these dynamics when it comes to spending during this period. How do you manage the expenditure this time around so you don't get broke the next month when you have to look at paying school fees and all those things? But also, what is it about that last month of the year when we shrink the discussion to look at the broader economy that does the trick when it comes to revenue mobilization and all those things? On PM Express Business Edition tonight, we'll be looking at managing that Christmas expenditure. We have some few days to Christmas. How do we get it right? Well, we'll be engaging in studio. He's a senior finance and banking lecturer at my alma mater, University of Ghana Business School. Actually, Dr. Benjamin Amoah in studio joining me to do some analysis here. And also on Zoom, he's the president of the Association of Hotels. There's a bit about the hotels, the events. And also there's some person who's been doing some analysis on goods and services on the market. There's Tumaika of Maverick, giving us some understanding about what goes into the Christmas spending, the pricing, the goods, and all those things. All these things wrapped up on PM Express as we look at managing that expenditure, even if, or is there even an expenditure during this time or not? All these things wrapped up on PM Express Business Edition. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to PM Express Business Edition as we discuss managing that Christmas expenditure. And just a week from now, we'll be celebrating Christmas. And for a lot of people out there, this means a lot. Some people will be breaking tomorrow, some will be breaking on Monday. I mean, some of these former businesses are taking that 2 weeks break and they'll be back maybe 7th of January. But also, let's look at some broader dynamic before I come into my guest, Dr. Benjamin Amoah, Senior Finance and Banking Lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. Let's look at the Ghana cedi, and that it becomes the basis for our purchasing power and how it has fared during the last quarters of the year. Of course, we've seen the numbers, of course, somewhere around 1572, 1472. That is the last quarter of last year, somewhere around December last year. This was how the cedi was faring. And I know that impacted on the pricing of goods and services as well on the market. Let's bring it fast forward to the current quarter that we are in, and how so. If the economists and the finance people will tell you, it appears that your purchasing power has actually improved for you as a consumer. This is a layman analysis, and those who play in this space will educate me as well when it comes to buying. Let me come into studio and engage the senior lecturer in the University of Ghana Business School, talking about banking and finance, Dr. Benjamin Amoah. Doc, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate it. I mean, there are some who are saying that for those who are coming from your fold, why are we so now pushing this agenda of spend wisely, have a budget for Christmas? Because the pressures of the family, the in-laws, the kids, listen, some may even have to borrow to have a normal Christmas, Doc.
Thank you very much. It will always happen. Why? Because we need to understand the timing and the atmosphere that we find ourselves in. Simply put, the individual who finds himself in this situation, in this case, all of us, we have run through the year because we use what we call the 12-month calendar in the year, where in our planning, It is the case that we start from January 1st, and then the year comes to an end on 31st December. So for the individual, you have gone through the whole year. The year is coming to an end. At least you need to feel good. You need to spend. You need to thank God and appreciate yourself in a way that the year has come to an end or is getting to an end, and you are okay. So you want to go out there to buy something to make you feel good. That is one psychology of the season for the individual. The individual will also not do that alone. The individual belongs to a family. In that same thinking that the individual is planning for himself, he will consider his parents, he will consider his spouse if he's married, the children, and then some extended family members. For that same reason that they've gone through 1st January and they are ending the year, so they are likely to spend at the individual level. 2, if you look at it from the business level, businesses also have what we call a similar reporting period where most of them start from 1st January to 31st of December. They have to wrap up sales. They have to close deals. How would they be able to do that? They have to find strategies and means of selling products out there. So around this time, there'll be a lot of awareness that will be going out to the public to come and buy, to consume, and to feel good about the season and the holidays that we find ourselves in. That is the second one that you want to look at, the business side. Then the third one is that Christmas, no matter how you look at it, has some religious aspect to it. So if you think of the fact that Christianity happens to be the largest in terms of believers, religion. And if you look at where Christmas is predominantly also celebrated in the Western world, you realize that Christmas is a big thing for them. Even those who are not so religious, they find time to celebrate Christmas. All this fits into the atmosphere that we see now, and then the urge to spend. Don't forget, in the Western world, many of us have brothers, sisters, uncles, aunties there who understand the season. And there's a probability that many of them are going to send money back home simply to also what? Support families who are also likely to spend. So this fits into the general, atmosphere that we find ourselves in, where the urge to spend and here to overspend comes in. Why am I using the word overspend? Overspend because every month you have been spending. Yeah. But if you compare what we do in December on the average to the previous month, you realize that in December, almost every household tends to what? Overspend. And that is where the pressure is. If you are overspending, then it means that you must have a source for that particular what? Purchasing power that you have. Where are you going to get it from? You either have to borrow if you have not built enough savings for this period. You either have to fall on what you call buy now and pay later because you want to make sure that you are buying the items that you want. You also want to make sure that you can fall on some credit facilities available to be able to purchase. This is just to help you to meet that 2 or 3 days spending edge, which you would not normally do. And these are some of the factors that will cause us to mostly overspend. And let me say this. It is not wrong for you to feel good and to spend during Christmas. It is never wrong. The only problem is that it shouldn't come at an expense where after the period you have bad feelings about what you did in the holiday.
For that individual out there, what is the advice in terms of the little that you have? Because it's about managing the expenditure. This individual may have a kid, may have a wife. January is coming. The pressures of opening the school and all the rest. Let's look at the individual angle as well. What is your advice to that individual in terms of how to manage things in these times, holding all those cost pressures constant, Doug?
Yeah, but the right time to start planning for Christmas is in January, so that you can have yourself enough time.
Doc, I have not planned, and I must confess, I am doing my planning in the next 2 days or a day. Let me confess.
Sorry, you still have to plan, irrespective of how close you are.
Or even if I even plan even at them, because then I go out to the market and start spending. I look at the shows and I spend.
Yeah,
sometimes I'm looking at even something, if I have to borrow or look out to some friends or family to help me to enjoy the season.
You still have to have a plan. If you are not able to do that at the beginning of the year, where you set up an account or a savings that you build over the period to be able to manage the holidays, irrespective of how close you are to the season, you cannot do without planning. So still you need some form of plan. What I'm trying to talk about is that you must be intentional about the whole holiday season. Intentional means that you must have a budget where you have to be frank to yourself. Know how much you have available, and then based on that, allocate what you think is affordable for each of your expense items. Don't go out there without any plan, because that will be a recipe for you to overspend. And you are going to go through January instead of being okay with bad feelings about what you did for yourself in December. You don't want that to happen to you. So even if you have not planned, it is not too late to plan. Sit down, be frank to yourself, get a budget, write exactly what you want, and then go by that. Once you have agreed on that, if you are a single person, if you are married, the marriage setting, once the man and the woman of the house have sat down to agree, try and stick to that. The urge to overspend will always be there. The temptation will always be there. But you have to be strong enough to be able to go by what you have.
In economics, they teach us scale of preference. What should be the priority here? You know, as an individual, a normal worker, what should be the priority in terms of the spending? Is it about the food? Is it about the shows? Or is it about, listen, let's buy our own soft drinks, cook our rice, and go to the beach and have fun? What should be the priority here? Let's look at the basic needs of the family. We should not forgotten about our in-laws, or in the planning that you are trying to explain to us, Doc, which I would say that I am the worst culprit. What should be the priorities here?
Okay, so first thing is that there's life after Christmas that we have to live. So the holiday season doesn't mean that is the end of everything. So you are planning December with January in mind. What will you do? First of all, like I said, this is just a holiday season. And you have been able to manage yourself all the way through January to December. 11 months, you have kept yourself disciplined financially. Now, December, you just have about 3 days of holidays and then some weekends built into December. What do you need for this particular period? Maybe if it is about food, sit down to put paper to it. What are we going to do? Are we going to cook at home, or are we going to go out? It should be down. If it is gifts that you want to buy for parents, you want to buy for your relations, sit down, have a plan for that gift. Make sure you write exactly what you want to buy for each person, and then put a limit on each of the items. If it is 500 for each person, let it be 500. And try as much as possible not to exceed that particular amount. If possible, have a frank discussion with your family. Have a frank discussion. This is the budget that we have for the period. How do we manage it? Let us be open about it, because like I said, there is January after December, and we are not going to have any extra income because we've gone through December. We are either spending from it. So the budget should be there. If there are gifts that you have to identify, put the gift down. If there are other what I'll call non-discretionary items, make sure you plan for them. Non-discretionary items such as, if there are rent that you have to pay, you have to make sure that that is what catered for. If you have to pay your utilities, water bill, electricity, make sure that all of that is also secured within the same period. But I want to hold the assumption that this has already been planned for based on your monthly spending pattern that you've had till we are in December now. Then, of course, you have to also think about emergency, because anything at all can happen. Your car can break down, somebody can fall sick. So you need to also, in the plan, have an emergency amount put aside, that if it happens that something that is not planned happens, you can fall on that. The emergency is important because you don't want Christmas to come and serve as a disruption as far as your personal finances or family financial management is concerned. So the emergency aspect is also very, very important, that as families or as individuals, we have to consider.
Doc, I'll be coming back to you to find out from you, how do I finance this expenditure? Do I depend on family and friends? Would you advise me to borrow And also, I think there's some 7-point plan for individuals. But let me bring in Atumaika of Maverick. I mean, his organization has been doing some interesting stuff in terms of market surveillance. So, Micah, I just want to get from him about the pricing of goods and services out there pre-Christmas and the Christmas period, and how has it impacted on consumption pattern during this time. So, Micah, thank you so much for your time, and I do appreciate so much. So, where we hear a lot of things about discounts and all those things, per your survey and your surveillance, is that the reality on the ground that businesses are dropping prices on the open market, things are dropping, and that again presents some good avenue for me as a consumer to buy during this period?
Yes, George. So we see some businesses dropping prices from that in that sense. If you look at food, edible oil, and some of those categories, we see promotions around that among the key staples. In that sense, electronic goods, so TVs, etc. We see discounts and promotions being run, right? But in terms of our survey and what we've seen, there was definitely we did two waves. The first one in June, and now one about that closed about 2 weeks ago. What you see is how Ghanaians are yearning more for discounts or price relief, and I say price relief intentionally. That we're not only looking at just a pure reduction in prices, but actually enhance value in terms of what the money can buy, or how many the quantum that it would. So yes, we're seeing prices or some form of promotions across the board and mixed in certain categories. But the consumers also Ghanaians are looking to reward brands and manufacturers that are offering price relief in the marketplace now.
From your survey, are we seeing that early buying, if you do a comparison, straddled back to last year, or again, a lot of people wait before this few days before they go out there and buy or purchase?
So in terms of volume growth across the various sectors, it's definitely been mixed, right? So we see some definitely momentum in food. We see momentum in beverages. So all the beverages, you see some stocking up and buying. If you talk about household care or household and personal items, not so much, right? In that sense. But I think what you typically will see is in December itself, you see much more of as the holidays get closer, you kind of see much more of volume or sales kind of run through in that context, and then it tapers off in the first after the first week of January.
In terms of the consumable, in terms of demand, have we seen more of consumables or non-consumables, electronicals, or the spending is going towards more of events and programming?
So we see more. What we capture across the hardcore consumables, right? So what we see in terms of what consumers just said they'll be looking to patronize are basically in three folds, right? So FMCG, consumable goods. You look at electronic items and kind of household appliances. You see definitely increased intent and interest there. And one thing that came up strongly was building materials, which was quite a bit of a surprise on that front, right? So it kind of gives a sense of, well, maybe holiday, end of year or New Year resolution kind of thinking from that perspective.
Mr. Michael, educate me here. Do I get the sense and some understanding that maybe during that last quarter, a lot of the people are looking at getting the house fit and getting the environment fit, or this is for just new buildings? In terms of this spending, was it going more into the paint, the changing, the makeover, and all the rest? So educate me in terms of what you found in terms of this building stuff you're talking
The
about.
buildings, okay. So what we captured was more around building items that may not necessarily go into a new building or painting and getting the house ready for the holidays. But it's indicative that obviously, coming to the festive occasions, everybody wants their house to look nice and make sure they receive visitors and look good as family and friends come around and visit, right? So it's more likely that definitely it's more driven towards getting the home improvement than a full, capital expense of finishing a building.
Again, weighing the market surveillance, did you see people dropping, I mean, price in terms of the price code pre-Christmas and Christmas itself, and how has the whole dynamics of the city played into the pricing of these items on the market?
So the appreciation of the city has played in different ways, and the reaction from manufacturers and brands have been staggered in that sense, right? So in the beginning of the year, I'll say the first 7 months, most manufacturers and brands were taking a wait and see approach, right? In the last quarter, we've seen more aggressive pricing and promotion across more and more consumer sectors in that sense, right? So we see that kind of playing out. But the overall expectation of Ghanaians when it comes to pricing is that definitely we had roughly over 90% of respondents that we surveyed across the country expecting that for foreign goods that are priced or bought in foreign exchange to have some form of a price reduction in that context. So that expectation is there, that anticipation is there. Consumers and shoppers are looking to reward brands and manufacturers that are providing relief when they go to the market to buy.
In terms of preference, were we looking at more of imported items or locally produced items in terms of the purchasing that you try to gauge and find out?
Yes. So with regards to preference, there wasn't really a difference in that sense. But what we saw was the expectation of price reduction, right? So definitely the expectation for price reduction for foreign or imported items was unanimous and quite high. For locally produced items, we saw that it was about 20%, 20 percentage points lower than what you would find for foreign or imported items, right? And so the honest is there's definitely more tolerance for locally produced items in terms of pricing and the expectation of it being at a discount than you'd have for foreign made good items. But I wouldn't say that they kind of lean or prefer one to the other. The only thing is, I think there's some leeway in terms of pricing for locally, if the local manufactured products is slightly higher, there's a bit more indicative of a bit more tolerance to that than the foreign item.
Mr. Micah, again, let me come back to the issue about consumption pattern.
Sure.
Are we seeing an uptick in December? Or let's say that, can I make that intelligent guess that, listen, maybe George, any advice that you're putting out now is coming too late because majority of the spending has been done already in terms of for Christmas?
No, so the majority of the spending continues to be done through December, right? So we looked at even looking at 2023 and 2024 December during the Christmas season, even with all that was going on, we saw basically an uptick in volume consumption across the FMCG sector. We are seeing the same thing in the sector coming out of November, and we expect even at least more than a 2 percentage points growth versus same period last year. So definitely the buying is still on. I know brands, manufacturers, service providers are putting their best foot forward with all kinds of packages. And so the spending will continue through till the first week in January.
Mr. Michael, I'll come back to you in terms of your surveillance, whether really these firms are offering that supposed discounts on products all in the spirit of Christmas. And I used to have a friend who told me that, George, see, I don't buy pre-Christmas. I wait a week after Christmas. Those businesses might have dropped these things further, and I go out there and shop. So, Doc, let me come back to you because I'll go onto the line again to speak to Dr. Aka as well. He's the president association of the Hotel Association. Let's look at the dirty December as well. But Doc, from his advice, again, it appears that does it feed into this notion that GRA's cocoa season is December because there's a larger economy as well that people are spending, and therefore it feeds into the taxes and all those things, Doc. Even though you are advising us to be prudent, let's try to discuss and look at all these spaces as well.
Yeah. Again, we need to come to the fact that Christmas is more of a consumption period. So if you look at the spending pattern in Christmas, they are not heavy business investment type of spending. It's more of the consumer, the retailer going out there to have a good time, himself, his family, and then people around him. This type of spending will be for businesses that are within this particular ecosystem. Businesses that are heavy into retailing, they will be seeing numbers changing and then values changing in terms of sales. If GRA will be targeting them, yes, GRA will be making...
They are doing a night economy. They are going on heavily.
Yeah, they are. But you see, if you look at the consumer point of view, in terms of tax and revenue mobilization, the consumer point is not as strong as the corporate and business level. Trust me, if a business wants to buy a vehicle, the vehicle have been bought long ago. If you're going to buy a vehicle to be for next year, and the budget is even yet to be approved. So if you look at the type of spending around this time, it's more of consumption. Consumption is about numbers. If you are into a supermarket type of business, it's a volume business. You have to sell more in terms of volumes to be able to make small margins on it to get that level of profit that GRA can tax. My point is that when it comes to tax, yes, GRA will go out to tax, but GRA's numbers will not strongly be informed by December spending. It is coming from most of the heavy corporate bodies who will be doing heavy investment, and it is from their numbers that GRA will be able to rake in a lot of revenue for the state. That is not to say that GRA should not go after businesses that are making sales around this time. They have to go, but I don't think this time they are going to make much just because of 1 week, 2 weeks spending.
Doc, I know that GRA maybe might explain to us, but then what feeds into turning the numbers around sometimes, and I made this more of unintelligent guess, in December for the tax authorities? Because there are events, they are spending, there are people who have actually, I know somebody who hardly spent in terms of their personal income, but in December, he drops everything down and spends like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, you see, again, GRA numbers, unless we have month by month break down the numbers, that will give us a good idea as to what exactly happened in December. But if it's going to be the quarter on quarter performance of GRA, we will not see it because we've gone through October, November, and December. These are good time for businesses. I'm talking about the big corporate bodies to also report. So it will not necessarily show unless we get the month by month data. They are going to know what exactly happened. And if we can even get the daily data will give us the mini details of at what point in time within the month of December did we see that surge. Don't forget, these businesses will end the year before they prepare their tax returns. So it will be difficult for one to know as to whether it is December spending that has triggered or pushed up the numbers.
What do you make of the Ghana Revenue Authority's plan to be, I mean, there's a whole team for the night economy that they are going to be out there. We will see them in these events, all those things. You think it's a good thing? And I'll come to the impact on the purchasing power and the impact on businesses as well.
It's a good thing because every business enterprise has a responsibility to pay tax. So if it's in the night and GRA has put in place measures to be able to track businesses that are operating in the night economy, there's nothing wrong with that. They have to go for it and then make sure that these businesses are contributing their fair share of the quota that's expected of them. So GRA must do that so that these businesses will also contribute. We should also not forget that in the midst of all this, if you look at the spending channels, they are changing. It's moving away gradually from the physical payment to the online. So even if there's a program, a show that you want to attend, you are likely to buy your ticket online. Yeah. If it is even a hotel booking, you are likely to also do some form of e-payment. GRA, I'm sure they are also looking at those channels. And they will be able to tell us what the numbers are from such channels. But the point is that every business entity has a legal obligation to pay its tax.
Some
so
of the businesses are complaining that GRA is on their face. I mean, this night economy, there are people who want to come to the restaurant. Yeah. Nobody knows them. GRA is all over the place and all the rest. Are these businesses right when they feel that just because of Christmas or this thing, GRA is hounding them?
No. The taxman must get his money irrespective of the time that you do your business. The taxman has been empowered by law to go after business enterprises that are raking revenue and they have a tax obligation to the state. The timing of GRA is simply because we are succeeding in building a night economy where we want to eat out, we want to sit out, we want to have fun. And that is an economic activity. So GRA doing that is not a way of harassing these businesses. GRA is just asking them to contribute what is expected of them to the state. If not, we are all going to run night businesses. We are going to exploit that loophole, you understand me? So definitely, GRA must go after them. It is not a harassment. It is their legal obligation to the state.
I'll come back to you on the consumer angle, but let me get online and speak to the president of the Ghana Hotel Association, Dr. Edward Aka Inyameke. Some people have made that, whether it's unintelligent guess, that maybe the hotels during the season, they are the biggest beneficiary in terms of bookings, in terms of the eatery, in terms of the event. Doc, am I right in making that unintelligent assumption that already it's been a good season, your rooms are all booked? Listen, the money has already... Listen, I won't mention the hotel's name, but we're trying to have an event with my friend for a program at a place. From November to December, the weekends were all sold out for that hotel. Doc, educate me.
Right, George. Thank you so much, and good evening to you, the panelists, and then your viewers as well. Sorry, there's some background music. I'm at Ridge Royal, and they're having their carols night, and the music is all over the place. Well, George, it depends on where you are positioned as a hotel, because from where I sit, I always need to give a picture across the country. So it depends on the region in which you are, it depends on the location in which you are. It even depends on your star rating. Remember, we have budget, 1 star, 2, up to 5 star. Okay, so depending on what the customer wants, depending on what the client wants, depending on what the guest wants, that is what will determine the activities in the various hotels. And you are right. You check on some of the hotels, they have been overbooked for quite some time now, right from November to now. And in some hotels too, they are also struggling to make the numbers. So your guess may be okay, but in general terms, it may not apply to all hotels. It depends.
Doc, if I restrict myself, let's even say the ones in the Greater Accra, the rated ones, it is fair that most of these ones have had everything sold out as we speak right now.
Well, okay, let me just put it this way. Just like yourself and your friend, I also needed to book some rooms for some friends who are coming from the US. And then I checked on some of the 5-star hotels, and they were all booked. They all book for the period. So yes, you may be right on that. But some too have rooms that they can give out.
And Doc, with these bookings, some would say that they were done way earlier this year and not just in December and November. Because when we were trying to do this, do more of a private dinner for some people, we realized that there is no. So now this thing has been moved to a midweek instead of a weekend, which we needed that badly.
Oh, yes. And you see, that is one aspect of the business that sometimes people don't take into consideration, that when you want to get it right with the hotels in terms of pricing, it's just like the airlines. You need to book way in advance. Because when you book in advance, you get more affordable rates. And then also you secure the facility for whatever program that you want to undertake. So for people, like Dr. Moore indicated earlier, for people who plan ahead, they take advantage of some of these things. And believe me, some may even plan a whole year ahead. And once the reservation has been secured, it means that you have been able to also secure a good rate for your activity or for the services that you require from the hotel. So some are doing it. Unfortunately, well, and that's the nature of life. Sometimes programs will just crop up without any previous planning, and you have to do some last minute, and like you and your friend were trying to do. And that way, you may be disappointed because then you may not have the slots for your booking. So it really helps to plan way ahead, because then, like I said, your reservation is secured, and then you get a good pricing for that.
Doc, we complained about COVID. Some of your members complained about the Airbnb. If you look at what has happened this year, let's even just restrict ourselves now to the room bookings and all the rest. Can you say that you have been able to fend off competition and you have turned the corner in terms of the demands that you've had for the bookings, for your rooms when it comes to, I mean, majority of your members, and I should use that in question, Doc?
George, our challenge has never been with competition at all, because see, the hotels have that, if I should call it, some monopoly in terms of the services that they provide. We provide accommodation at the same place. We provide entertainment, we provide food and drinks. We also provide some recreational activities. In some cases, car rentals and even talk. So we have that unique niche in the market. What we have not been happy about is the regulation of that sector in terms of taxes, in terms of levies, in terms of the regulatory fees that we pay that they don't pay. And so they end up providing services at cheaper rates. That was our concern, because we do know that in some cases they augment what we do, to the extent that you can go to some hotel, the place is booked, and the only option that you may have is Airbnb. So yes, it's helping the industry as a whole, but it is the environment, the unequal environment that it provides in terms of taxation and everything. That's what our issue has been. So once that sector of the industry is well regulated and they are paying their taxes, they are paying their levies, they are doing all the regulatory things that we do, FDA, fire service, EPA, and all that. Once they are doing all those things, we have no problem at all with that.
But Doc, I asked the question about, so if I look at all these variables as constant, can I say that for this year, looking at what COVID did to you, and maybe even putting all these things constant in terms of competition and adequate regulation, can we say that the hotels, if I can use the expression of, for this year, you are turning the corner, or you have already turned the corner?
Oh, George, I think we turned the corner long ago. And for me, I no longer use COVID as a reference point again. I no longer, because last year, if you look at the GTA report, I mean, the performance had surpassed that of COVID. So it means that we've covered already. And I am hoping and praying that this year will also be better than even 2024, which will certainly see some upward increase in patronage.
So,
Okay, so COVID is no longer the reference point for us.
So in terms of demand and purchase, last year was good for you, your members.
Oh yes. So you see, the GTA, the Ghana Tourism Authority, from its report, provides us an idea of performance of the industry on year-to-year basis. Okay, and last year, if you look at the report, it was a better performance than the previous year. Okay, and obviously, if I should go to the COVID times, right from COVID, every year has been an improvement over the previous year. And that's exactly what also happened in 2024. So we are hoping that 2025 will be better than 2024. And don't forget that the ministry and the GTA, and indeed the private sector, have done quite well in the promotion of December in GH, which is really, really catching on. Okay, so we have a lot of visitors in the system, and that, of course, tourism thrives on the movement of people. So once they are moving into the country because of December in GH and all the activities that comes with it, certainly, the hotels are also going to record the high patronage that we want.
And this drive has impacted on demand for your products and services, right?
Certainly, you know the interesting thing is that shelter or accommodation is a basic necessity. And for visitors who come into the country, apart from those who have families here, even those who have families here, sometimes they come around and they just want to experience the hotel environment or accommodation outside home. And even within country, when people travel across the regions, across the districts, some of them, for various reasons, prefer to lodge in a hotel environment. Okay, so that is certainly an outcome of the increased visitors around this time of the year, which we are all enjoying. So certainly there's been that positive impact on our industry.
Doka, I know we operate in a free market economy, I mean a capitalist economy and all the rest. But as we are discussing managing our expenditure during this Christmas, there are some who are thinking that your members, these hotels, are ripping us off from the room rates to the food and even the event and all those things. Are we justified when we go on that tangent that you are ripping us off?
George, when this discussion comes up, I always want to be guided by the first principle of hotel business: monkeys dance by sizes. Monkeys dance by sizes. We have budget hotels, 1-star, 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, up to 5-star. A whole range of options. It is for you, the individual, and in relation to what Doc said earlier on, to look at your pocket and determine or decide what works for you. And indeed, George, there are very beautiful hotels, very nice hotels with great services across the country, okay, that people can use. I think sometimes we get too fixated on the upmarket hotels, like the 4-star and 5-star, and then we get there and the rates, we use the rates as the basis to say, we are ripping the customers off. But some customers also want that comfort. They want that luxury. They want that extra security, extra safety that comes at a price, at a cost. And that is what the hotels offer. Okay, so if my money is not sufficient for the 5-star, I'll check the 4-star. If it's not sufficient for the 4, I'll go to 3, I'll go to 1, I'll go to budget as well. And that's where, as an association, our advocacy has been on helping all the various star ratings to improve their services. Okay, so that in Kumasi or Tamale or in Zumaya, where I come from, you will still receive that first-class services, no matter where you are. Okay,
But some would say that it is quite debatable because if we hold this argument constant in maybe a hotel in Nigeria, a hotel in Ivory Coast, a hotel in maybe Mali and all the rest. Maybe let's even say a 3-star or a budget hotel. There are some who still struggle to understand. The argument is always brought forward about the environment, the taxes, the cost of doing business. But some are saying that even if you do a regional comparison, and I stand to be educated now, hotels in Ghana, irrespective of the ratings, are still expensive.
Again, George, I have called for this comparative analysis over the years. And as we speak, we've not been able to do that. Let's compare country against country, the business environment, the taxes that we pay. You know, when the new government spoke about reviewing the taxes, we felt so vindicated because this is something we had been talking about for several years in terms of the taxes that we pay, the levies that we pay. Okay, so if we are saying that other countries have the same facility but are charging lower, let's look at it in holistic terms. What contributes to the cost build-up in their environment and what constitutes the cost build-up in our environment? Then and only then can we say with all certainty and with all objectivity that hotels in Ghana are expensive. Until we do that, I will not buy that argument again, seriously. George.
Doc, I'll come back to you on the events bit as well and other things. But Doc, again, I'll come back to you again on the bit about financing the expenditure. I mean, I know you will not allow me to say I should go and borrow, but where I have to spend, how do I finance this expenditure, Doc? And we'll take a short break. I'll be right back as we look at managing the Christmas expenditure on PM Express Business Edition. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to PM Express Business Edition as we talk about managing the Christmas expenditure in these times. How do you spend so you don't get broke in the first week of January with all the pressures that you have to deal with? I'm looking at the consumption side, the market surveillance, engaging the CEO of Maverick, a research firm, Mr. Atumaika. Also the hotels, they play a critical role in spending during this time. I'm speaking to the president of the Ghana Hotel Association as well. And also in studio, I'm engaging a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa. There's a thing about funding this expenditure and also where people even would want or trying to support their spending, where people even have to look out for the family and friends to help and all the rest. What is the advice, Doc, in terms of trying to finance this expenditure? Some are saying that if you don't have, sit home, shut your door and sleep and do your squash or something and drink with the family. Or what is the advice? Or go out soliciting for funds, borrow, Doc?
No, okay, I do agree with you that the temptation to spend, and like I said earlier, to overspend.
It is real, Doc.
It's real, yes.
Yeah.
So there will always be that temptation to overspend. Now, it is not easy sometimes to withstand the edge. Friends are going out, and you don't want to go. It's end of year. You also have to be seen to be spending or to be doing something to flow. So what we have done as part of our public education outreach is to develop a simple 7-point support system that families or individuals...
Which our producers will project on the screen for our viewers here.
Thank you. That families or individuals can consider in their attempt to manage the resources that they have. So the first point that we have is that, look, Christmas is about you and your family. So the first point is that don't compare to others, your Christmas. Look, the guy you saw on social media who says, I'm going to go to this place, that place, and I have this and I have that, and it's all smiling, you don't even know him. He's a social media person. We live in a world where somebody far off in a country you don't know can come on social media and then create an impression. The lady you saw who says, oh, I'm going to have a holiday here and there, You don't even know who she is and the impression that she has created about Christmas. So don't compare yourself to others. Your Christmas should not be influenced by what is happening on social media. You know your pocket, you know how much you have available. So it's about you and your family. There will always be life after Christmas, and you have to have that in mind. So that is point number one. Point number two says that you need to have or hold a budget summit. Trust me, if you're a single person, you need to sit down and then jot what you think you have to do and what you can afford. If it's a family setting, sit down as a family and then set one total spending limit and make sure that you break into category, what to go into gift, food, travel, etc. Write it down. The problem with many of us is that we don't write it down. It's in our head. And because it's in our head, we are influenced. The third one is enforce what we call the 4-gift rule. What is the 4-gift rule? When it comes to children, there are things that they want. Ask yourself, what do they want? Write it down. It is what they need should be captured. What they will wear. And you see, you want to give them some experience and memories. So buy something for them purposely for Christmas. It shouldn't be expensive. It's within your budget. And then also something they have to read. Right? So it's about school, something I got to school. 4, ban what you call buy now and pay later. Because buy now and pay later is indirect credit. You are spending money that you don't have. If you are spending money that you don't have, you have to find a way of paying it. Don't do that. If you must use credit, select the lowest rate and then set an absolute limit on the credit that you want to assume as an individual or a family. January, start shopping for January now. Because we are most likely running into a temptation. If it is 2 kilograms or 5 kilograms of rice or 25 kilograms of rice, try and buy it now for January. The oil, buy them now. Because January is going to be tough for individuals who will not be able to plan ahead. Your sugar, your rice, your canned goods, buy them now to ease January's tight food budget. 6, open a separate January recovery savings pot. You have to go through some recovery, isn't it? So make sure that at least, even if it is 500 or even 200 are going to set aside now to cover unexpected bills, make sure you have that now. It's very, very important. Then, of course, the 7th one, we are saying that schedule a January 2nd financial review. You have to be bold enough to review the expenses that you have gone through in December. This will help you to know where you overspent and where you are able to discipline yourself. Don't forget, another December will be coming. And you want to use the experiences you have now to inform the type of December you'll be having come 2026. So these are just 7 pointers that we have pulled together as part of our public education to help individuals and families to know how they can navigate this period.
What about those who we are working for? There are people who are giving some small allowance to their workers. Should they be doing that during these times? Something small to take care of all these pressures. Do they have to do that?
Whether something small, is it something like a bonus or it is a
mix of a bonus or something? I mean, listen, I've worked hard for you over the past 11 months. Something small, allowance or a bonus or something. Should the workers, those who are employing us, be looking at this to support our expenditure during this period?
If it is charity, no problem. And of course, I'm saying using the word charity because even at the individual level, we should also show love and partake in some form of charity here and there. Not so much, but people around us, we have to show love, we have to show concern. So if employers are doing that, there's nothing wrong with that. If employers are supporting their employees, oh, have this, have that, that is good, and that is something that is commendable. And employers should be
and
encouraged,
that's what should encourage
to do that. Yeah, because it bonds and it builds loyalty, and it's something that employers should try.
Do you advise more the rice and oil or the little money and the vouchers? Because some are saying that, give me the rice and oil. Give me some 2% of my gross salary or something.
No, it depends on the culture of the organization. It depends on the pool of employees that you have, right? For some employees, rice and oil will do for them. For some, they will prefer you give them the money and then they will go and buy what they want. I will not be here to prescribe that, do this or do that. The employer should understand the culture of the organization. The employer should understand and give room to what the employees think best. That if possible, make allocation in the form of money. And I believe that the leaders among the employees who are closer to the employees will know within the gift frame which of the gift will best serve the interest of the employees. But charity is very important. So if employers will do that as form of charity, I think it's good.
You're talking about how the bonding and also
the loyalty,
recognition and
the
that
celebration
feeds into productivity and all that. Mr. Micah, let me have to try and wrap up on this discussion. Let me come back to you. In terms of those so-called discounts and all the rest, is your surveillance confirming that these businesses out there doing this Christmas are indeed discounting products for us as consumers?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think you can see that consumers are smart, right? And so they can see whether this is a good deal or this is just what you get, just a performative offer, right? So the good deals that we're seeing are more, as I mentioned, we're seeing about, in the edible oil sector, in the edible oils segment, we're seeing very good deals there. You're seeing good deals in rice as well, obviously, in the festive season. You're seeing more and more within tomato paste, more and more offerings that are much more affordable than what's in the marketplace. This month alone, we've seen quite an influx of seasoning, if we're talking about that food seasoning, including one that I was quite surprised to see, goat food seasoning, right? So you get the
a lot of good this time.
If you can't afford one, you can actually get your soup flavored in that sense, right? So we're seeing it's in both places, right? New entrants coming in or offering discounted rates in these categories, and the main players or the brand leaders, etc., offering it in that sense. But we're seeing that mostly in food. We're seeing that in electronics and appliances in that sense. Mixed for home and personal care. And then obviously beverages, this is their season for it, and they're definitely passing on the necessary trade discounts to consumers.
Mr. Michael, we are talking about managing the expenditure. I had one cousin of mine who always told me that he shops immediately after Christmas because for a lot of these firms who are trying to clear their stocks, if they don't make the money the Christmas, they are forced to discount. What has your surveillance shown? And what is your advice if I want to go that line of, listen, I know the businesses won't like it, but the reality is that I am managing the expenditure here. Do I do that immediately after Christmas rather?
So yes, there are definitely deals after Christmas. It's just like in January when things are slow, and especially those that come into the retail space with closeout sales and just want to kind of sell whatever is left and move on. So there are those pockets of deals to be had. But I think in a much broader context, most of the spending is more aligned to when the consumption and the happy, the fun and celebration is happening. I mean, in the survey that we did, will these, in terms of changing behavior or adjusting to it, majority, I think about 65% said that obviously they were more likely to spend a little bit more, with roughly about 20 and the remaining just saying, they would spend just as much or lower, right? So if you look at it, the spending actually happens more when the quote unquote the action is happening. So why wait till? Unfortunately, your cousin is in the outlier. It's an outlier here.
Mr. Micah, in 30 seconds, your final thought as you wrap up on this discussion. In 30 seconds, please.
30 seconds. What I would say is Ghanaians are looking for price relief, and if you're in the consumer space, price relief does not mean just taking down, slashing prices. You can offer them the same price, but give them more value for it. And I think they're excited and looking to reward brands, service providers, and all who cater to them. I think this last quarter we've basically tracked brands who've offered any form of price relief, and we've seen lifts of anywhere from 4% to 8% growth in volume for them.
Doc, let me bring in the president of the Hotel Association as you try and wrap up. I mean, your advice to us is that those who want to manage our expenditure, we should shop around. I mean, now let's look at the Ghanaians who are in here, who want to go out and eat, who want to go to the event. We should shop around because the hotels are there for every Ghanaian, and depending on your budget and all those, is a Doc.
George, exactly. Shop around and also try and bargain with the hotels, and also look out for the special packages, the Christmas packages. There are quite a number of hotels giving out special Christmas packages, and you get value for money. And as I wrap up, George, at least exit the four walls of your room. Exit the four walls of your home this time around. Take madam or the children somewhere. Okay? Pay something more. Enjoy the security, enjoy the comfort, enjoy the luxury. Treat them to something good. And the hotels offer all of this. I mean, you worked so hard. I was at one of the programs where you were honored with an award. Okay, so go and treat yourself in the hotel and enjoy the Christmas.
I'm not a subject for discussion, Doc. I'm a host. But Doc, in 30 seconds as well, in terms of the event and the eatery, it is looking good for the hotels, right?
Oh yes. And again, kudos to the GTA, kudos to all the agencies, kudos to the ministry for continuing the December in GH. I mean, it's become one of the brands for this country, and so long as we continue to ensure security in the country, so long as we continue to ensure that our sanitation and then also probably the road network, there are a few challenges, but hey, that's what we have on offer now. So long as those things are kept going, the hotels and indeed all the tourism trades will also benefit from it. And the biggest beneficiaries, of course, the country, Ghana, in terms of taxes. And I like the point Doc raised earlier on that probably after December, the GRA should let us know the performance of the taxes during that period, because we believe that a lot goes on in December compared to other months, and probably to give us an idea of how we do during the year.
Doc, it looks like your call has gotten a support as well in terms of more clarity from GRA about the December contribution in terms of national revenue and tax collections, right?
Yeah, thank you very much. That will help in all of us understand the December economy and how we can plan towards December and how we can mop up and end the year. So let's believe that GRA will try to do that, so we'll know what exactly happened in December and its implication by way of tax revenue mobilization.
But Doctor, I also get from you that no matter what, you can still be very disciplined financially in December and enjoy the season.
Oh yes, we have to, because see, you don't want to, if you go through December, you will enjoy December and then it comes with January financial regret, then it means that there was something wrong with your December planning. You should not go through December with all the excitement only to end up with bad memories in January as far as your finances are concerned. The only way you can overcome this is to plan. So I will encourage everyone out there to plan and to make sure that you don't use the 3 or 4 days of the holiday to destroy the discipline you've exercised all the way from January through to December.
Doc, we are talking about financial prudence, and I know that it moves beyond just the individual and business. For those who are managing the economy, maybe in just 30 seconds as well, what can they also do for us as Ghanaians in these times, in the spirit of Christmas?
What they can do is, that's a very difficult one. What they can do is to create the enabling environment, right? Enabling environment where prices are okay, it's affordable, so the little that I have, I can have a small Christmas at home or go out for a family if I want to. So let's hope that with the micro indicators that we have seen improving, next year we are going to have an improvement of what we have seen this year. So that with the little that we have, its value will still be maintained for us to spend and to have good Christmas come next year.
Mr. Uncle Ato Micah is the chief executive of Maverick, a research firm gauging market surveillance of pricing goods, giving us some feedback there. Dr. Edward Akanyamika is president of the Ghana Auto Association, and also another doctor in studio, a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School as well, Dr. Benjamin Amwa, giving us some pieces of advice. And we know it's going to be a good one. No matter your budget, no matter your money, you can still have a very good Christmas. I'll say Merry Christmas again to all our viewers who've kept faith with us from January to now. And we promise you more excitement, more interesting stuff going into 2026. Have a Merry Christmas. This has been PM Express Business Edition.